Well, hey there, friends. Back from SHOT Show, and I got a lot of cool stuff to show you. I would like to say to all my friends that I got to catch back up with at SHOT Show, good to see you guys. That's the true value of SHOT Show, in my opinion. It's not necessarily seeing all these new products, because at some point you're going to get your hands on them anyway. It's the fact that you get to catch up with people that you probably only see once or twice a year, or you visit with electronically. So again, good to see all my old friends out there. I always do a top 10 list for SHOT Show. I try to do some cool stuff, innovative stuff, neat stuff. This year's top 10 SHOT Show week items, with a little bit of emphasis on that term week, SHOT Show week releases. I want to go through them. First up was the Falco Holsters Level 2 Retention Pancake Holster. This is an outside waistband holster with MLC security lock technology. By adding this technology to their holsters, Falco is able to provide two-way security on a leather holster. They integrate a plastic MLC security lock that protects the trigger of the handgun on both sides of the holster from any type of interference, whether it be a hand, any kind of object you might lean up against, or the clothing that you're wearing. You know, I've always had an issue with different types of leather holsters that didn't provide some kind of protection like this. That's why this holster is so important to me. One of my biggest things is I live down here in the South, so the body heat and the moisture, humidity that you're going to generate during those warmer months, and actually, let's face it, during about half of the year down here in Louisiana, that's going to reshape that holster. Now, the benefit of having a leather holster, obviously, is that it will do that. It'll fit to your side. The unfortunate thing is, if you're carrying, especially if it's a really light trigger, like say a 1911 or something like that, you're also going to be reshaping all the leather around the whole gun, which means that you can have a portion of that leather that bends inward around that trigger. So if you happen to unholster your gun and reholster it, that piece could be in there and it hits that. Well, they've solved that, Falco has, with this particular holster. So I really, really like that protection that they provide around that trigger. Ultimately, you're going to get a whole lot more safety with that, and that is huge in my opinion. But it also offers a certain level of retention. You're going to have that thumb release where you can get that thing out of there quickly simply by engaging the gun's grip, hitting that little bit of button and pulling it back out of there, and you have, of course, your second level of retention up high on the strap. So really nice addition there by Falco. Big things to come with them. I'm actually really excited to announce that we're working together on a holster design at Falco, so I think you're going to be seeing some pretty cool stuff coming from them very, very soon, where we collaborate on an item. Next up, the Beretta 80X Cheetah. This is a really cool 380. This thing right here is kind of a throwback that they've reimagined and done some really, really cool stuff with. They offer some pretty cool finishes in it. It's going to have a 13+1 round capacity. They do have one of them that's going to come optics ready straight out of the box. You're going to be looking at paying about $799 for this. I hope to get my hands on one pretty soon to give you guys more of a peek at it, but it's definitely a very sexy looking little pistol. Clean looking lines, and of course, if you're a fan of any of the Beretta 92s, you're going to like this one as well. Just an overall nice looking firearm, and let's hope that it operates just as nice. Have not fired one yet, but I intend to very soon. One of the really nice products that I ran across at SHOT Show was the core replacement section for gun cases. This is really cool. This is very innovative. What they did is they provided kind of a bladder, if you want to call it that is made out of mil-spec type material that the federal government makes cots for our military, and they've put tons of little beads inside this thing. And when you remove the foam out of your gun case for transportation and replace it with this, you add air into the system, which basically separates all those beads on the inside and allows you to reposition them, move them around, settle your firearm where you want it to go. Then you simply use that transfer pump to pull all that air back out again, and it stiffens this entire thing up almost rock solid. This is actually medical technology that's used to make casts for broken arms and broken legs and things like that. So this is some really cool technology that's being applied in the firearms industry to stabilize your firearms inside a travel case, and they simply don't move. You can see by where I added some of this air and then removed it back out, you can see where even so much as the magazine was inside there. So this is really, really cool. They've actually got a prototype that they had at their booth for handguns as well. I think that's going to be huge. So really cool option here by Core. Next up is the RIA 5.0 by Rock Island Armory. This is one of the first offerings by Rock Island Armory USA, RIA USA. As you know, most of Rock Island, by the way, they are the world's largest 1911 manufacturer, but most of those 1911s are not made in the United States, they're made in the Philippines. Of course, they have facilities in the United States, and they have for many years now. But this RIA 5.0 is fully made, assembled, everything right here in the United States, in Utah more specifically. This is a really cool looking pistol. It's got a patented RVS recoil system that's engineered to maximize barrel mass and linear movement to really facilitate super soft recoil. The trigger is a 4-pound trigger, extremely soft trigger pull. They could make it smaller than that, and you actually could modify your trigger. I don't recommend that, but you can modify it to be as low as a 2.5 or as soft as a 2.5. For legal reasons, this comes out the box as a 4-pound trigger, understandably so, especially as litigious as everybody is, and the promotion of litigation against firearms manufacturers. I fully support them putting this thing out in a 4-pound trigger. But again, you can enhance that trigger pull if you want to. It also comes with a 2-piece modular grip frame for flexibility and control. You can actually remove this thing and get different types of grip pieces for it, if you will. The sights are really nice. Dawson Precision fiber optic on dovetail cut for the front sight. Your rear sight is an LPA adjustable on a dovetail cut as well. Now, the rear sight, you also can get one of the other models that's going to be available in the MRO cut. So you're going to be able to put some optics on that thing as well. I see a lot of competition guys who will likely be going to this for several reasons, but also because you're going to have the weight. When you're shooting competition, you prefer a little bit of weight in your handgun. You're not looking for the lightest thing out there. All that's going to mitigate recoil a little bit. But with the type of shooting system that they have here, with that slide nestled down inside the frame as far as the rails on it, instead of coming over the top of the frame, you're going to have your bore sitting a little bit lower. So that bore axis is going to be much lower into the hand, which is going to, in turn, mitigate a lot of that recoil, meaning you're right back on shot. Felt recoil. I'm sorry, not to offend anybody. It's going to mitigate felt recoil. And it's going to allow you to get back on target much, much quicker. So I see this thing as a really nice competition gun, but don't discount it as a carry gun, because in the wintertime, I'm carrying a full-size pistol down here in South Louisiana, and this is a firearm that I will be carrying during those winter months. This thing's probably going to hit the retail market at $998. Obviously, look for it to be a little bit lower than that whenever you find it in your retail stores. Next up is a really cool innovation that I found over here in a company that I wish I had found a little bit sooner, U.S. Arms Company. U.S. Arms Company put out a really cool thing called a cam lock. This has been out since last year. I just discovered it this year, and I'm a little bit ashamed that I didn't find it before now. What this essentially does is it provides a cam lock down at the bottom of your receiver that you can swivel up into place, and this is going to essentially bring the upper and lower receivers into perfect, proper alignment, lock it into place, and essentially marry those two receivers together so you're mitigating all of the slop that you might normally have. You know how if you grab any AR-15 out there, I don't care what the price point is on that, you're more than likely going to have some slop. You can grab the lower and the upper with each hand and wiggle it, or you can just shake it with the grip in your hand, and you're going to hear the slop that you're going to have there. This system completely mitigates all of that. It pulls these two pieces together, if you will. One of the biggest benefits that I see of this, yes, it's supposed to take care of accuracy. There are some claims out there, and I can't stand behind those claims because I have not fired this thing yet. I want to make that very clear. However, there's some claims of improving accuracy that make perfect sense to me. I know that if you can mitigate things moving around, especially like if you would in a precision shooting rifle, you're going to improve your accuracy. I see this as prolonging the life of my internals. In other words, you're going to have pins and things like that that are not going to be rocking around. Anytime you have that play in there, those items are wearing. You may not see it visibly, and you may not see it for a little while visibly, but it's happening. There's little bitty pieces of metal that are being ground off as your internal parts are moving around from that slop. When you engage this cam lock, you're mitigating all of that. So I feel like you have a huge advantage with this. They do sell the lowers that come equipped with that. If you want to just use the lower to put on an existing rifle, you can do that as well. But the innovation of this particular item I found was very, very cool. Now let's stick with U.S. Arms Company because I was impressed with two things that they had. They also have the M905 Talon muzzle brake. This thing is pretty cool. It's available in several calibers from .223 to 50 BMG. What it does is this patented brake utilizes a really cool aerospace proven design to effectively reduce recoil by up to 94%. Think about that. You 3-gun guys that might be out there, or just people who want to have the option to hit everything you're shooting at as consistently as you possibly can. I can't even say the word consistently. If you're wanting to hit those rounds and send them down there very consistently and not have so much time in between shots, again, why it probably appeals to the 3-gun crew, is you're going to be able to do that with this, because this thing is not only sending so much of the gas to the sides, but it's also sending a little bit of gas upwards too. The aerospace design that it has, and you can see inside here, it's using that gas to push and pull internally of the system while it mitigates all that gas and sends it out. So you're gonna have very, very, very little recoil, very little muzzle rise. Now I will say this as a word of warning, you're gonna have an extremely loud report, because it's taking all that gas and it is sending it to the side and even backwards in a few cases. So yes, don't try to shoot this thing without hearing protection. You're gonna need that. But if you're trying to be an accurate shooter, this is gonna be a system that you're gonna absolutely love, and I really like the look of this thing. You're gonna have a price point on this, let's see here, around 249 bucks. That's actually in line with a lot of your nicer recoil management systems out there, so I don't think that's out of line at all. You're also going to have this sleek design that it has too. So I really like that. It's got an overall good look. So kudos to these guys for putting cool stuff out there. It's very seldom that I actually have a company represented twice on this top 10 list, and I just couldn't help it in this case because I thought these two items definitely overshadowed some of the other stuff that I saw out there. Coming in next is more stuff from my buddies at Strike Industries. This is the dual folding adapter. It's a patented system. You'll notice it's actually Picatinny mounted. I say that because of a lot of the things that are going on right now with the stabilizer brace rulings and all that. There are some systems out there like your Scorpions. There's some options out there that you're going to have where your recoil system is not contained in a buffer that extends out the back of the firearm. You're going to have some that are contained. For instance, I have one coming up that I'll mention to you here in a minute. It's on that top 10 list. But you can use a Picatinny rail to mount on the back of this. So for some reason, this idiotic stabilizer brace ruling that they have sticks for some way or for some reason, or if we're going to be forced to deal with it for a little while until it gets thrown out of court, because it will at some point, then at least you have this option here to attach onto the back of a Picatinny rail on those particular options. So it's super simple to operate. You simply press these two buttons here on top, and the entire thing's going to be removable. Pretty much the same way it's going to go back in. You push those two pieces of top down, and then the whole unit's going to slide right back into place right there. So super fast. Obviously, other guys can do it a little quicker than me. One thing I like that comes in the box is you have these two pieces on the back. Excuse me, let me turn it the right way. That you're going to have both these options that come available in the box. So you're not having to buy a separate one if you prefer something else. This other option that they have in the box does have the QD disconnect on it right here. So that's why I think it's a great option. I will actually take this one off that comes in the box and put this other one on that they provide. Very cool. You're not having to buy something else to retrofit to get this thing put together. So look for more on this. Again, I will mention it more on a particular rifle that is included on this list here in a second. Next up is the PSA Sturmgewehr STG-44. Now, my German is not that great, but the STG-44, the STG does stand for Sturmgewehr. That is a German World War II era rifle. Palmetto State Armory is putting out essentially a replica of this. Now, it is not just like the old one. It is, of course, the footprint and the look of it is going to be the same, as you can see. However, the original trigger pack had roughly 200 and something parts in it. They have since then, PSA has decided not to use that for the headache of having to work on that, and included in this particular option an HK trigger pack that simply drops in there. So you're eliminating all those parts for this. So the simplicity and ease of use, ease of maintenance is going to be a whole lot better. They're going to offer this in 4 of the calibers out there. One that you may not recognize if you're not a fan of this gun, but the original 8mm Kurz. That is the original round that was found, or utilized rather, on the STG-44 back in the 40s. But they're also going to introduce this in 5.56 .223, 300 blackout, and 7.62 by 39. So I can assure you that I will be getting my hands on one of these as soon as possible, because this is one of my favorite firearms of all time. I actually have a prop model of one that I just love the look of this thing, and I've always liked it. So I have one hanging in my office that looks like it has been beaten up from the World War II era. So I'm super excited. I will be blowing up PSA to find out when this comes out. They could not say when it would be coming out this year, other than the fact that it will be coming out this year. As soon as I know anything, I will let you guys know. This thing is going to be, it's truly a work of art, but it's going to be so much fun to shoot. It's heavy like the original. I'm just super excited about it, and I hope you guys are too, and I can't wait to tell you guys when it does come out and show you guys one actually that I'm shooting that will be my own, because I want one for me. So very cool, Palmetto State Armory for doing this. Palmetto State Armory, as you know, has some really good options on all kinds of other stuff, but they also have a great warranty. So I'm looking forward to owning something like this and being able to apply that same warranty to it. Okay, remember earlier that I said this was the SHOT Show Week Top 10. Let me tell you why. Because some companies have opted out of SHOT Show for their own personal reasons or company reasons or financial reasons. For whatever reason, I support them because a lot of these companies still support the firearms industry. And if they choose not to go to this show, I'm fine with that. There's a lot of guys who do what I do who chose not to go to the show either. You don't blackball those guys. That's a personal choice that all these either companies or content creators or whatever you want to call them choose to not spend their money and allocate it in other areas. A company called CMMG, yes, you guys are familiar with them. They have released this week the CMMG Descent in 9mm, and it's going to come in 6.5 and 10-inch barrels. This thing is sweet. We were talking earlier about the stabilizing brace from Strike Industries. Remember we talked about the Picatinny rail. It's going to fit on this Descent because the Descent, it's housing all of the recoil system in the upper receiver. So this item right here is going to be something you're going to be able to put on there, again with the quick disconnect of course, and work this thing if you want to, unless they come out with some kind of weird ruling on the stabilizer brace that actually sticks. Again, the one will get struck down that they currently have out there. But this is an option that you're going to be able to put on there whether you want to have some kind of a stabilizing brace system or not. Just remove the thing because you're using and utilizing that Picatinny rail system on the back of that firearm. Cool thing about this system is you're going to have the option of different types of 9mm magazines, different manufacturers like that. So you're not going to have to change the entire gun out because it doesn't receive a particular type of magazine. That's a nice option right there. So kudos to CMG for putting some cool stuff out there and trying to make life a little bit easier in the midst of all this stabilizing brace crap, because again, by putting this type of firearm out there, you don't have that whole buffer system that you're having to contend with that sticks out the rear of the gun. It's all self-contained up front. So it's a nice option to have for those that are not sure about the coming strike down of the stabilizing brace issue, or if it actually sticks, which is highly unlikely. The last thing I want to talk about, and this is really cool, and I don't think I'm going to get a chance to review one of these. Pretty sure I'm not. I'll work on it. Is John Wick's car from the John Wick movies. This is fine, a 1969 Mustang. We got to look at it up close. It's beat up. It's cool because they enhanced several things. They put some different type of strengthening around the radiator system. They removed the fan off of the front of the car so that whenever they ran into things, they wouldn't destroy the radiator and essentially shut the car down. They reinforced everything around the wheel wells so that they wouldn't have their shocks getting damaged, or the tires and the wheels and the rims, everything getting beat up and blown up. But of course, the other car, part of the car, you can see took a pretty good beating throughout the filming. I doubt this was the only one that they beat up, but it was really cool to see this thing up close. Again, I doubt that I'll be reviewing this, but if they decide to send one out to me, I do not need an FFL to receive this, and I do not think the ATF will be managing anything on this and getting into my business if this is transferred to me. So guys, feel free to transfer this to me, and I'd be more than happy to make a really quick review video on it and hopefully sell a couple of these nice ones for you. Guys, thank you for tuning in to this Top 10 SHOT Show Week discovery item list that I have. I enjoy the trip out there, but I really enjoy being able to put this stuff back to you guys. Look for each one of these items, again, hopefully the John Wick car also, to be reviewed in much more detail later on. I've got some of these items either already in my possession or they're coming my way, so I will be actually putting some full-length reviews out there showing all these products to you guys in much more detail in the very near future. Thanks, guys. Good seeing you guys. Oh, by the way, if you don't mind, I passed the GOA booth, the Gun Owners of America booth, several times this week. As you guys know, I'm the state director for Louisiana for GOA. These guys worked hard the whole time. They don't go just hang out, shake hands, and do all that. These guys were engaging the ATF. They were doing legal work, digging into stabilizing brace stuff. So these guys work really, really hard at their jobs, even when they go to something like SHOT Show, which is more of a show off and show people what you got type thing. These guys are going there to work. I say this because there is a link in my description down below where you can save $5 on a membership. I don't get any money. I literally get $0. I put that link in there. This is a way for you guys to save a little bit of money while also helping out, in my opinion, the #1 fighter for the gun rights of the American citizen out there and the American populace out there. Gun Owners of America, they do an absolutely fabulous job, and I'm so proud to be associated with those guys. Link is down below, guys. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's so horrible.